Hi, it's Dr. Steve from Misericordia University, and welcome to part 2 of search tools for power users at Google. This video is part of our course TED121 Educational Technology. In part 1 of this two-part video series, we looked at quick answer searches in Google. We also looked at Google specialty search tools, and also we started looking at just regular searching. How do you search for words that are on the page, but do it more effectively? Now, in this video, let's look at two really powerful tools. I can't wait to show them to you. Tools to support searching off the page. These are search tools that allow you to search for words that aren't even words on a web page. So what are those tools? Intitle : and cite : Now, be aware that these two tools are only found in Google. The last category of search tools for power users that we're going to consider in this video are tools, and two in particular, that search for words that are not found on the web page. They're off the grid. They're off the web page. And this can be very powerful. The first of those two tools, and I use this sometimes, the second tool I use all the time, but the first tool is intitle. Now realize this is a Google-only tool that we're going to be using here. So first of all, let's take a look at the title. Here I have found a Pennsylvania Department of Education page. Notice it says Pennsylvania Department of Education in my hit. When I click on it and I look up in the title bar, way up here in the upper left-hand corner in the tab, it says Pennsylvania Department of Education. Here's my tab for searching the web on the TED121 page. Notice the term searching the web and then in parentheses TED121 is in the title. So we're searching this. We're searching the title of the page and not words that are found on the actual pages. With that in mind, let me do one quick comparison first. Let's say I'm searching for TED121. I'm going to find all kinds of things, including TED Talks, and here's the Misericordia page for TED121. But look at the number of hits, 183 million. Remember the quote. If I put the quote around here, millions, I'm down to 5,000, because there aren't that many pages that have the words TED and 121 found next to each other. So keep this in mind when we start using the intitle tool. So let me start with the intitle. Let's say that I use intitle : and again, I found that if I use the quote when I'm searching for TED space 121, that I will get better quality hits, more specific hits that will satisfy what I'm looking for. So notice, to use this tool, intitle : and then the very next character, which in this case is the quotation in this case, make sure that the quotation is touching, there's no space between that and the colon. Also, don't use a semicolon, and don't put a space because all those things will bomb. Now, look at this. These are all TED121 pages because that's found in the title of every page. Most of these are my web pages or hits where I'm found somewhere on the web with respect to TED121 course. Okay, now that I've done that, maybe I'm going to search for something else like I always did. Well, to search as usual, I would now put that material up in the front. So before we hit the tool called intitle. Now I know my last name will be associated with many of these pieces. So, but I didn't put my name on every single page. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm searching for this word like I always would have. But now I'm searching also, limiting it to in the title of that particular page. Now, let me do another, let me just clear this out here. Let me do another to show you what I mean. Let's say that we're looking for lesson plans. Now, when you first started searching, you probably do something like this, and that's a terrible search because it's finding everything under the sun, including a ton of ads here. Let's say that I'm looking for lesson plans, and I know that those words should be found side by side. Oh, notice this happens sometimes when you're doing a lot of searching. Google realizes that I'm doing so much searching. Maybe I'm a robot who's searching here. Notice the number of hits went down, the number of ads went down. In fact, I don't see any ads here right now because I'm looking for something very, very specific. Let's say that I wanted to do something else, because this would be one way to do this. Say that I'm searching for lesson plans in the area of science. So I could put science, then I could put the word lesson plans and see what comes up. And then I'll use the tool. Okay, 54 million hits. Could it be that I'm searching for the words science lesson plans together? Maybe. Again, keep in mind, we're gambling, we're trying, we're experimenting. That's down to 1.6 million. So getting a little more focused in and honed in. Let's say that I change this. Let's say the thing that I'm looking for, I'm going to search for in the title of the page. I want the word lesson plans to appear. So let me just do that first. Well, that's 1 million hits right there. But the word lesson plans, I want it in the title. So think about it. If you were searching for a magazine, let's say, with you're just looking for an article with a certain words in it, or let's say you were searching for a magazine that had a title of something, like if I'm looking for a lesson plans magazine or lesson plans, in this case, web page, chances are I'm going to be locating much more specific information and much more helpful. So in title lesson plans, now let's search like we always did. I'm going to put the word science in front. If I spell it correctly, maybe I could put 5th grade here in front. Maybe I'll need quotes on some of those things if there are several words and they're going together. Now I'm actually up to 2 million hits. But I've expanded my search by putting the word science in front, but I've limited my search by saying the word lesson plans. As I look here, oh, look at this, STEM lesson plans. Now that's an ad, but maybe I want to search for the word STEM and science somewhere on the page. They don't have to be side by side, just somewhere on the page. But the title should be lesson plans. I want a lesson plan page. Oh, now I'm limiting. Now I'm down to 77,000 hits. Chances are I'm going to get better information here. Before I was searching for a Billy Joel song. So if I were to type the word Billy Joel with quotes, I'm going to get some pretty decent hits. And again, at this point, Google is being Google, and it knows that I'm looking for some very specific things on a particular person. What if I put the word entitle, colon, right before the word Billy Joel? Now the hits go way down, because now every page I'm looking at is dedicated to Billy Joel. So think about it. As a teacher, are you looking for, like in general, certain things, or are you looking for a source that really deals with that subject matter exclusively? If you are, then consider using the word in title before the search. Now, let's take a look at our last tool for power users at Google. Keep in mind, this is a Google-only tool. We're going to look at a tool called Cite. It's S-I-T-E colon, and the very next letter has to touch that colon. So let me start by using the Cite, and I'm going to say www.misericordia.edu. Now, what's interesting here is, what this tool does is Cite colon says we're only going to search. In other words, we're going to restrict our search to only this particular website, www.misericordia.edu. Notice, instead of getting millions of hits, we have 5,000 hits. So here we're looking at all Misericordia sites. Here's a nursing program, here's other kinds of things, and it's all at misericordia.edu. Notice every URL has www.misericordia. Now, let's pause for a second. Does every site at Misericordia use the W's? Have you noticed in recent years that the W's are starting to disappear? Let's try that. Let's let's eliminate the W's. Site colon. Now again, notice the colon has to touch the M in Misericordia. If I put a space like this, it's going to bomb and it's not going to be recognized or work. So let's look at this. From 5,000, we now have 25, almost 26,000 hits. Okay, so at first we have www.misericordia, but as we travel along, look at this one, athletics.misericordia.edu. There's no W's there. So in general, I normally skip the W's and just put the rest of the URL. Now let's take a better look here. Let's say that if I'm restricting my search to misericordia.edu, let me search for the word, as I've always searched, let me spell it right, let me search for the word athletics. So at this point, when I put the word athletics in front of the word site, that tool, the site tool, what I'm doing is I am saying, let me search like I always have. Let me search for that word on the page. But where are the pages restricted to? It's misericordia.edu only. So let's look there. Now, if you notice, we've got 18,000 hits. Notice every single one is at athletics, the word athletics, and misericordia.edu. The first ones are athletics.misericordia.edu. But not all of them will necessarily have that, because I'm searching for the word athletics at misericordia.edu. Let me do one other thing. Let me take this out, and let me say, let's let the site be athletics.misericordia.edu. So this means that we have 13,000 web pages that have the URL athletics.misericordia.edu. Now, if I wanted to, I could add something else in front. Let's say I'm looking for the word football or some other sport that you may play or you may follow here at Misericordia. Now, the hits went way down. Here I have 3,900 that just deal with that particular site. Okay, let me start again. And this time I'm going to put the word site colon. Notice the colon has to touch the M in Misericordia. And this time I'm going to put the word teacher education. Now I know that if I put the word teacher and education, those are two separate words. Really, they should be hooked together. So let me go ahead and put quotations around them. Now let's do a search for that. Here there are 1,500 results, and each one is at the site misericordia.edu, and each one has the word teacher education somewhere in it. Let's say you're looking for something at Misericordia. If it's more than one word, like for example the writing center, and the site misericordia.edu, here it is. The first hits give you exactly what you need. How great is that? And we didn't even travel to the Misericordia site. Let's look for a couple other things at our site. You've heard that Dr. Steve has published the lesson plan somewhere on misericordia.edu. Well, let's translate that into search terms. Lesson plan, I put quotes because the two words should be found together. And the site is exclusively misericordia.edu. Here it is. The first hits, all of them are exactly what we want. You've heard that there's a unit plan somewhere on this site. I put unit plan in quotations because two words hook them together. Only at this site, 3 results, only 3 hits. Each one is exactly what you want. Now that's good searching. One more at Misericordia. Let's say, actually 2 more I'll do. One, you've heard that Dr. Steve has some type of site on somewhere on Misericordia's website, and something to do with APA. So I'm going to type Dr. Steve because it sounds like that was supposed to be in there and included on the page, and the word APA. Let me search for that. Here it is. The first couple hits, they're all exactly what you want. And here's the APA help page at Misericordia. I'm going to do one more, and I'll challenge you to do this one. Put your name. Now, you don't know exactly how your name is going to be written, but I'm going to put my last name and I'm going to put site colon misericordia.edu. How many pages at Misericordia have my name on it? And I'm finding 153. And now Google is saying, are you sure you spelled the name right? Yes, Google, in this case, you're wrong. I did spell that name correctly. Now, just for fun, I'm also going to go in here, and I'm going to say site times leader.com, because that's one of our local newspapers. So I would challenge you. Are you involved in sports or something else at Misericordia? Maybe you've made it to the newspaper locally. This is one of the 2 local newspapers. And sure enough, it's found my picture. It's found some of the columns and articles that I've written. So 27 hits only exclusively at that particular site. Now, let's take this to PDE's site. So first of all, I have to go out and find Pennsylvania Department of Education. So let me go out there and let's find out what their URL is. I'm going to put it in quotes. So I'm looking at education.pa.gov. I'm going to skip the W's. Education.pa.gov. So let me go type that. Site colon education.pa.gov. Right now I'm seeing all of the web pages at that particular site, about 18,000. Now, what am I looking for at PDE? Many times professors of education are going to, in Pennsylvania, are going to ask you to look for something on PDE's website. So how can I search the website without ever going there? Well, I can use this cite tool, and then I can just type what it is that I'm looking to find in front of the word cite. So let's say I'm looking for the academic standards. Okay, academic standards, that sounds like those are 2 words to be found together. So academic standards in quotes then, and cite education.pa.gov, there it is. I found almost 1,000 hits, but exactly what I need is right up front. Fantastic. That's good searching. Now, let's look for, as we've heard in classes at Misericordia, that there's a standards aligned system. So I'll spell it correctly, because remember what's in quotes can be very literal. Standards aligned system at site education.pa.gov. And sure enough, everything that I'm looking for is in the first couple of hits. Let's do one more at this site, because as teachers learning to be teachers in Pennsylvania, we're using this site a lot. Let me look for the standard application for teaching. I think that's what someone said to me. I think it's called the standard application for teaching. If I know it, if I know exactly what the title is, I will put it in quotes. If I'm not quite sure, then I won't use quotes because it will be very literal. Let me try this. PA standard application. Okay, now notice the word add appears there. Let's go underneath. Here it is, standard application for teaching, but perfect. The first real hit after the ads is exactly what I want. Now realize if I didn't know the exact, since I'm putting this in quotes, I could put a couple of words here, and I don't care if they're found exactly together. So I think it's standard and application, and I think the word teaching was in there. If I wasn't sure, then I would simply do this, put separate words and no quotes. Once again, I find a couple of ads, and it did come up as well. There it is. So if you're sure of the title, put it in quotes, because it's like a phrase. It's a couple of words that are found together side by side on that web page. If you're not sure, then don't do that. Let's look at 2 other examples. Let's say I'm looking for the child abuse clearance, because as teachers we have to get different clearances. Now, I know that this is the name. Someone told that to me, or I heard it in a class. Child abuse clearance. If I know where I'm looking for it, like I could click enter now, and luckily Google is good and is saying, wait a minute, I think you're in Pennsylvania. You searched Pennsylvania before, and it might find it. But if I'm not sure, I can type site, and I know that that's on the Department of Human Services website, which is dhs.pa.gov. And again, it will bring up the exact, notice only 61 hits at this point in time. And these hits, the very top ones, are exactly what we're looking for, which is perfect. Let me do one last example. Let's say that for a class in education, I'm looking to find information about truancy. So in the old days, you would search this way. And again, look how nice Google is providing us with some helper applications and some good information. Let's say that I want to find something in the form of a Prezi that exists and deals with the subject of truancy. Okay, now I've got about 32, almost 33,000 hits. Some will be good, some will be not so good. Some of them won't even be Prezis. So let's say that I want to just increase the accuracy of this and make this just a better search. So the thing I'm looking for is truancy, but where I'm looking for it is on Prezi.com. When I do that, now I'm getting exactly what I want. Notice 5,000 hits. See, just by putting the word site : in there, I'm increasing my capabilities and the efficiency of my search. Before, I got thousands and thousands of hits because I was just looking for the word Prezi and the word truancy. Well, I could have found websites talking about both of those words. I could have found PowerPoints that are containing both of those words. Now, I'm being very specific. Search only at site Prezi.com. And now, look for this particular word. Now, these tools are really powerful. As a quick review, in our first video of this two-part series, we considered all the foundations of Google, and we also looked at some more advanced tools that people typically don't even know exist. But in this second video, we looked at tools to support searching off the web page. Specifically, we looked at intitle : and site : Now that you know these tools, you are a power user of Google. Hope you enjoyed this presentation, and we'll see you soon in class.